Hello? Oh, awesome. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm Sue Nallapeta. I'm the CTO at Trusted Health. Trusted is also modern enough, so I like to think it's pretty cool. And I have been in the industry for 15 plus years. 2 companies ago, I started with the mission of helping people find their love through a dating app called Zoosk, and then went on to help people find the homes that they love at Apartment List. And now I'm helping people find care at Trusted. So super excited to be here. I've been at both startups as well as public companies and experienced different growth stage and chaos that occurs with the growth stage. And then I've built, bought, as well as acquired software. So been through those challenges. I'm from the Bay Area. Who caught a view of a Golden Gate Bridge today? It's pretty awesome. Usually it's covered in fog 70% of the time, but today it's pretty clear. All right, build versus buy. It is the Shakespearean version of to be or not to be of tech. I was part of a company that has built a billion-dollar business with a software that was bought off of somebody's credit card for $2,000, which was pretty impressive. And we kept that software for almost 5 years in that company's history, and then finally replaced it as we continue to experience scale. On the flip side, I've also been part of the company that has spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying very cool tech, lot of patents, and then it ended up being a part of a fire sale, which is very unfortunate. So sometimes you often wonder, what is the right decision, whether to build software or to buy? And it doesn't help when you see a lot of companies showing that they either pick build route or buy route, or sometimes both. You see a ton of examples here, Instacart using Stripe, or Netflix rolling out their own CDN. So how do we go about really figuring out what we need to do? So today I'm going to talk about a framework that has helped me, that I've put together based on my experience, on how I evaluate build versus buy decisions. And then I'll also share a ton of examples from my own experience and walk through each of those scenarios where we had to make those decisions. So I'm calling this framework the 7 C's. First C is core capability. So this is your feature set. If you are a product company, this is the product that the customers play around with. This is your true experience. This is what you want to get right. And a lot of times, when you're building a core capability, it is important to figure out, do you really want to build this, or do you actually buy this? It's okay to buy initially, but eventually you might end up building, because this is what is your IP, this is your product, you want to customize it for your customers' needs, for your business needs. And for companies like Apartment List, which is a marketplace, our product where renters find homes is our core capability. At Trusted Health, where nurses find jobs, our platform is our core capability. So this is one of the first C's that you really have to think about when you're building or buying software. The second C is cost. So a lot of times people think about cost in 2 dimensions. One is the time, the other one is people. How long will something take for me to build, and then how many resources do I need to build it? But it's far from it. There are a lot more things that you need to think about when you think about cost. Your maintenance cost is a big one. You need to continue to update the libraries that might be approaching end of life. You need to be maintaining test cases. You need to be maintaining your build and deploy scripts. All of these factors is something that people actually don't consider as they are thinking about software. There are also other costs, like cost of hosting your infrastructure, maybe cost of licensing for a small piece that you might actually not build it yourself. So how do you think about the entire dimension of cost as a whole ecosystem, as opposed to just in fragments of people and time? So this becomes a big factor of build versus buy. The next one is the complexity. There are businesses that are extremely complex, and there are businesses that are extremely simple. And depending on the needs of that business, you might want to figure out if you really want to build or if you want to buy. For example, in a Netflix case where they build their own CDN, they were trying to solve a problem of speed. How can I make sure that I get my customers the fastest streaming in terms of the videos that they watch. So for this, they had to ship devices to ISPs, who then they ended up caching those videos on the client side so that it can be delivered faster. Or I have few examples of why we built our own billing system, why we built our own payroll system, because the business was extremely complex and we could not have bought off-the-shelf software. The next C is competence. Do you have the right people within your company to build it? Don't get me wrong, it's not about skill set. It's not that we can't learn. Software engineers are very resilient. They can pick up any new technologies, but there is also the business side, which is the opportunity cost, the time to market, how fast can you get your software in front of your customers. When you don't have a product market fit in the first place, I've been part of Series C, Series D companies, even early stage companies, and when you don't even have a product market fit, or if you do and it changes, sometimes over the evolution, we've had product market fit at Series A and B, and then we've lost that mode and lost the product market fit and had to reinvent ourselves and figure out new one. In those situations, there's no point investing a lot in one particular technology or another. You have to have an open mind. Instead of building internal competency, you can actually partner with different vendors, partners, or buy different software to overcome this need. The next one is the cohesion. You have other systems within your company. You have CRM systems, you have marketing tech, you have analytic solutions. How can the software that either you're building or buying fit into that ecosystem? Does it connect? I cannot have a software that does not integrate with Salesforce, because that is our core CRM that we use across our customer base. So how do you think about cohesion as one of the key factors in determining whether to make a build or buy decision? The next is the competitive advantage. When you're building software, can it provide a huge competitive advantage for you as a business? And if it does, if the answer is yes, you absolutely have to buy it. There are a lot of companies now who are using large language models, who are using ChatGPT to create unique solutions. You don't have to build your own LLMs unless you're solving a very complex need with a data set that's not really readily available and that's extremely custom. However, if you're a business like us, when we were building our online dating service at Zoosk, we really were operating in 35 different countries and across different currencies and languages. So it was a huge competitive advantage for us to build our own internal systems across different dimensions. We built our own A/B testing system. We built our own billing system. And because it provided a huge competitive advantage. And a lot of times, one more thing I will say is, if you're building something, let's make sure that it ends up being a true line of business. Otherwise, most often, you're better off going and buying software. And then lastly, culture. This is the most unknown factor, but it plays a huge role. A lot of times, I think people have not invented here mindset, and that might push them towards building software because either they want to continue to attract talent, focus on innovation, they want to continue to invest in their people, and sometimes that plays a huge role if you're trying to really buy software because you want to get to market faster, because you have a better opportunity cost, but it may not allow you because of the culture and the mindset. And you may have to work on the mindset before you actually truly make decisions based on the other factors. So these are the 7 C's, and now we are going to get into some really good real examples, because this is an OBS conference, and talk through various scenarios. First up, why we built our own payroll system at Trusted Health. I think 2 big factors: capabilities and competitive advantage. Trusted helps nurses find jobs. And we were operating in an industry that's extremely old school when we started almost 5 years ago. Think of our competitors who are staffing companies, staffing agencies, which is extremely recruiter-led, relationship-led model. That means nurses would call their recruiter friends and basically say, I'm on the hunt for a job, find me a job. And all the exchange was happening on emails or phone calls and text. There was absolutely no platform available. So we were one of the first few companies that built a true marketplace and a platform where nurses could find jobs on their own, which means, one, we had a we were starting and building a new experience that did not exist. And two, as we were bringing on nurses, we also decided that we will have a huge competitive advantage if we don't bring on nurses as 1099 contractors, but instead, we made them W-2 employees. That means we gave them 401k, we gave them other types of benefits, and we would pay extra time on top of overtime and double time. And we had to create all this complex pay structure to really attract talent. And because of that, we had to build our own payroll system because there was nothing on the market. First, there was no platform for nurses to find jobs, let alone solutions that can really take that experience to that next level. So that was number one, and we needed to do extremely heavy customization. We needed to have a lot of flexibilities because we would pay nurses on a weekly basis. Hospitals would pay us on a monthly basis, and we needed to manage cost, and we needed to really be accurate in predicting if these nurses really worked X number of hours, and how do we calculate overtime if they spent more, what are the bonuses, and things like that. And then this became a huge competitive advantage because we built our own, because it gave us a lot of flexibility to change our pay package. As the industry evolved, more people caught up to us. We needed to get really creative with pay packages. We do a lot of A/B testing now with how much we want to pay our nurses, and that would not have been possible if we had bought an off-the-shelf payroll system, so which is why we ended up building our own. Next. But we just don't build at Trusted, we also buy software. Why did we buy a lot of customer engagement tools? So we have a huge suite of tools that we put in front of customers to really manage the relationships. Starting from CRM and Salesforce all the way to our customer success tool, which is Front. We use Intercom for real-time communication, Zendesk for all the ticket management, and then also live chat within the product. So we have this huge tool set that we use to really make our customer engagement top-notch. The reason we bought this is, one, the complexity. We really needed real-time communication, and we didn't want to really spend our time and energy building this while we could be using that to build a product. And the second thing is scalability, to adapt to the growing needs of the business. We really were growing pretty fast. COVID was hard, but COVID for healthcare companies was next level. We were getting nurses and jobs on our platform that was growing 50x overnight, and we needed to support that scale, and we could not, it was not possible for us if we took the time to build our own software. We really needed to get a software and, in fact, get many and stitch it together and make it work for our evolving business needs. And then we also needed advanced reporting capabilities, because that is something that all companies want. We want insights about how customers interact with our business, and building our own capabilities was going to take more time. Cost was another factor. It was not only that it was going to take longer time, but the amount of resources that was needed to build it was going to be huge. And then, not to mention, if you have worked with customer success teams, you don't want to keep changing tools on them because it's going to take a ton of time to train them. Next, at Apartment List, we did the opposite. Initially, we had built our own email system that we migrated and then ended up buying an email software. When the company was young, early stage, it made sense for us to build our own email system. There was not a lot of complexity, not a lot of emails that we would send, but over a period of time, the business continued to grow. The number of emails and marketing touch points completely increased. We wanted to have different channels of communication. We wanted push notifications. We wanted in-app notifications. And very soon, what started out as a very simple build-out ended up becoming a very complex thing for us, code base for us to maintain. And engineers were not happy. They did not want to work on it. They did not want to continue to iterate and maintain this. They hated working in handlebars. No one wanted to write HTML. Nobody wanted to just continue to make template changes when marketing could have easily done it. We also went through a huge rebranding exercise, which required months and months of updates to our assets when it could have been weeks if we had bought an email software. So that's why we ended up making a decision to move away from our initial setup and then ended up buying email software for two reasons. One was competency. Like, no matter what, whatever you build will eventually become end of life, and you need to continue to iterate and then continue to modernize it, and you're not going to do it unless it's your core capability. So, which is why we really decided to buy. And it also gave us a ton of business control because our marketing teams was now able to customize, they create templates, manage entire marketing communication. We also ended up buying two software for email systems, one for our transactional emails and one for marketing, so that engineering can have control over all things transaction, and then marketing can have their own control. And then the other big factor was cohesion. We needed to also make sure that these two tools that we picked worked with each other, but also ended up working with other systems that we had within the business as well. That was about Apartment List. We also acquired a chatbot company at Apartment List instead of either building or even buying. It's because, one, it was going to be a huge complementary to our product. It was going to enhance our renter experience. We bought an AI ML-based chatbot company that would really help nurture our renters and answer a lot of questions when the leasing agents did not have time to answer those questions. And this really provided a huge time to market acceleration, because if we had built this, again, this was cool tech, a lot of engineers really wanted to build it themselves, but we could not have built anything less than 12 months. And this was a product, it was a Series A, very early stage company with like 6-7 people, and they had already built a lot of stuff. They had customers that were already out there, and they were selling, and it was very easy for us to just buy and integrate with our platform, which was a lot quicker, helped us really get to market faster, and then really helped complement our revenue stream as well, because now we had a new offering and a new line of business as a result of this acquisition. So sometimes it's not just about building or buying, but it's also about acquiring where it makes sense, and if you actually have capability to acquire companies. Then, going back to Zeus, why did we build our own billing system? There are industries that have very strict requirements in terms of how they manage risk. Dating industry is one of them because of how our customers are in general. We used to experience a lot of chargeback rates. Like, it's a very emotional decisions. People end up buying a subscription because they like chatting with someone. Those conversations don't go well, they want to cancel subscription, and then they do a chargeback on their credit cards. That's not the only industry. There are others, like furniture industry, which also experiences a lot of chargeback rates. So when you're dealing with an industry that has a lot of restrictions, sometimes you have to think out of the box and not really use off-the-shelf solutions. We could have used Stripe, but it's a very low margin business, and all these billing systems don't really account for some of the complexities of the business itself. And it would not work for us because they would charge a lot because we had huge chargebacks and our margins would end up being extremely low. We also used to experience a lot of fraud. On any given day, if we go to our website, we used to see a lot of traffic, which was customers, but also which was bad actors who used to really try to do account takeovers. So we needed to do a lot of customization to make our billing system really robust, because we used to collect credit card information. So we had to be PCI compliant, but also that came with it its own complexities. And we were in multi-country. We had to support multiple currencies, and we had to deal with conversions when we had to deal with renewal rates and so on. And it would not have been possible to just use off-the-shelf software. And because we were in multiple countries, a lot of times we worked with like 3 to 4 payment processors, and these payment processors would also have downtime. Because we were a subscription business, we could not afford a downtime, because if there is a person already willing to subscribe, we needed to make sure that it goes through, our renewals go through, and we can't have any downtime. So we needed to do our own failovers of different payment gateways. And this would not have been possible if we had bought the billing system. And then why did we buy as well as build analytics software at different startups? I've been at different companies where it's been a combination, especially when it comes to analytics. Some of them end up building and some of them end up buying, and sometimes it's both. I have seen insights products like Amplitude, like Product Insights, Full Story, which really captures your entire customer interaction on the website, so you can watch those videos and see how they use your product. And I have seen those being bought because this is something that is not core to your business, but you really could use those insights. I have seen advertising ROI type solutions like Google Tag Managers being bought, BI tools like Looker. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. On the flip side, I've also seen people building event dictionaries, pipelines, really figuring out data governance and how can I make sure that the eventing that I'm putting in my data warehouse is very clean and it's sanity checked. Data transformations for our own business needs, as well as native reporting capabilities. We have SaaS product along with our marketplace product at Trusted. Our SaaS product directly works with hospitals, and we really help them manage their entire shift schedule. We predict what's the likelihood of this nurse picking up this shift, and all of that requires a lot of native reporting capabilities that we cannot just build off of Looker when we're exposing it to the customers. So this is something that we built instead of buying. So with all these examples, what has become very clear is that there is no one right solution to build or buy. It really depends on 3 different factors. Factor number 1 is the company stage. How can you make sure that at different stages of your business, you are paying attention to product market fit? Do you have a moat? Do you have a competitive advantage? Do you have a differentiation? What is your profit margin? Like, can I really build something and continue to maintain it? Can I buy and can I afford the cost of buying something? So you have to pay attention to these things and really tailor your solutions for those needs. The second one is really have to balance competitive advantage against opportunity cost. When your business gets a significant leg up, if you're building something and you can totally package it and then sell it to your customer base, it totally makes sense to build it. But if this is a one-off solution, you don't want your engineers focused on this long-term, it's better to buy it and continue to not invest your resources on something that's not your core capability. And then lastly, hybrid is the true reality because you build sometimes, you buy, but you also end up building on what you buy. You have to customize, and you have to be open-minded to really figure out if you can use solutions in different ways to tailor to your business needs. That's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, that was a really awesome talk. I love the 7 C's framework. We're gonna go to Slido. Feel free to use the QR code, answer or enter in your questions. There's already a few in. I actually just wanted to start with one, Sue, that came to mind for me, which is so with the 7 C's framework. Is there like a weighted decision matrix you kind of make where it's like, all right, here's all the 7 C's. Let me like score each one and then kind of do that, because it's a lot to think about, it seems.
It's a lot to think about. I can take that. The biggest ones I would weigh higher. Yeah, the highest weight that I would place on is one is the cost, because again, cost matters. You really have to think about cost for your really improving your margins. The second one is your core capability, and third one is the competitive advantage. Everything else you can work around, but these 3 are like absolute must as you think about building versus buying.
Got it. Cool. Let's go to the first question here that is upvoted. It's actually a little similar. Maybe feel free to let me know if it's the same answer. Before making a buy decision, can you speak to your proof of concept or other tactical evaluation process for narrowing down solutions you are considering? Would you say it's the same?
It is the same, but you have a lot more flexibility when you're doing proof of concepts because, again, you want to separate it out. You want to have an innovation arm where you're trying different things and you're totally dedicating time just to try. It does not have to really make it into your product, but you're going to try so that you can innovate and really get all those ideas so that we can figure out what best makes it into the product. So, but the way I would approach it is to allocate time for engineers to really innovate. And we have hackathons, we have set times on weekly basis where we say this is the innovation time, where engineers can go and spend some time really tinkering with new technologies and create proof of concepts. And then when those concepts get to a place where it makes it really interesting to make it into the product, then we will have to, again, go through this entire decision-making process. Because just because something looks cool doesn't mean we will take the time to really build it.
Got it. Cool. I think we have time for maybe one or two more. Can you talk more about approaching the decision of switching between a homegrown solution and deciding to buy or vice versa? How do you get buy-in for this?
Yeah, so this happens in the life cycle of any company. You might start out building, then you might actually switch. Like payroll system, now I actually was at a healthcare conference last week, and I saw a lot of companies now came up with payroll systems that are very tailored towards healthcare ecosystem. And I'm actually very open to switching over because I don't want to continue to enhance and build this long term. So the buy-in always, in order to get buy-in, you have to go through the same process that you would go through for anything. Does this help your business long term? Is this going to be a strategic advantage if you actually buy something that is off the shelf, where you can allocate your resources somewhere else to build something that is going to up-level your business? And then lastly, why do you actually want to build this or buy this? What is the advantage for the business in the long run? Do you really treat this as something that is very unique for your customer base as well?
Got it. Cool.
And then one last thing I would say is, it's always hard balancing between drinking the Kool-Aid, because you look at all these companies building all the cool stuff, Dropbox building their own storage systems, and then also balancing the value to the business that you're at, which could be a Series A company where your funding might run out in 18 months, or a Series D company where you might actually have to take a down round if you don't get your stuff in order. So sometimes you just have to balance the two.
Yeah, I definitely get you there. I mean, I'm at Series C company right now, and there's plenty of things where we're just like, let's go on the free tier for now, and we'll if we need to build it, then we can, in a little bit. But first, we need to just make sure that we have something. Cool. There is one that is getting highly upvoted. We're at time, but if you could maybe answer quickly to this one: why are folks most likely to get the buy, build, acquire decisions wrong? Can you speak to a time in which you and the team didn't get it right?
When you look at the life cycle of the entire company, a lot of times you feel that these decisions are wrong. And this happens a lot when you're a new leader, you walk into your company, you sometimes end up feeling like all the decisions of the past leaders are wrong. And that's actually, you could take that approach, or you could say, okay, let me look at 3 factors. What is the stage of the business? What was the type of talent, again, competency that people had, and how much funding did the company have to really make some of these decisions? And when you look at it from those dimensions, sometimes these decisions become very clear. This is why often when you walk into companies, there are people who have been with the company for a long term who get extremely frustrated when you kind of change strategy on them. It's because they have strong reasons of why they picked a certain approach. And in my own experience, there are decisions that I have made that probably was wrong 1 year later after I made them. We had to switch 2 data warehouses, which is incredulous because it was already a nightmare to switch one from Redshift to Snowflake in my previous company, and then we had to switch it again from Snowflake to BigQuery because we really needed to do some complex operations. So I've lived through those bad decisions myself, but sometimes you can beat yourself up. Always come back to the same question: is it adding value? Is it incrementally adding value to your business, as opposed to thinking, is this going to be a long-term value in some cases?
Got it. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to ask every speaker one more fun question. What is one book that you would that you would recommend to the audience that changed the way you approach either work or life?
Yeah, my favorite book is called Orbiting the Giant Hairball by Gordon MacKenzie. Gordon MacKenzie was a cartoonist at Hallmark Cards, and he wrote this book the hairball is the corporate culture, and how do you maintain creativity when you're dealing with the hairball, and how do you orbit around it as opposed to getting trapped within the hairball. It's a pretty cool read, and you should check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, let's give a big round of applause for Sue. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everybody.